Hello, everyone. My name is Kyung-Chan from WCO. We'll introduce briefly the WCO data model and the Codex derived information package regarding 25th session of CCPICS and the paperless exchange of official certificates. WCO initiates on paperless processes, interoperability, and the facilitation of safe and legitimate trade. Paperless processing, dematerialization of documents, and risk-based non-intrusive inspection are examples of WCO initiatives in the context of digitalization. The WCO applies a digital customs concept to support members in understanding and implementing the ICT-related tools, instruments, and guidelines already developed by the WCO, including the WCO data model and the single window compendium to support members in implementing digitalization and paperless processing, digital collaboration, interconnectivity, and seamless data exchange. Last year, the WCO and customs community dedicated themselves to taking forward a particular theme under the slogan, Customs Fostering Sustainability for People, Prosperity, and the Planet. Under this theme, the customs community pursued various activities, including digital customs and the cooperation with the relevant international organizations. On continuing these activities, the WCO announced the slogan for this year, Customs Bolstering Recovery, Renewal, and Resilience for a Sustainable Supply Chain. The customs community will be focusing on recovering from the pandemic and providing support to people and businesses by promoting renewal efforts along the global supply chain. The WCO data model is a compilation of clearly structured, harmonized, standardized, and reusable sets of data definitions and electronic messages. It promotes collaboration between customs administrations, government regulators, and the business community, supporting implementation of a single window. The WCO data model includes the derived information package on the Codex General Model Official Certificate, which is the subset of the WCO data model, containing essential information relating to food safety. The use of WCO data model derived information package can enhance cooperation between customs and the competent authority to augment efficient trade facilitation and effective control in the area of biosecurity. The WCO has developed a compendium on building a single window environment, which contains guidelines on data harmonization, and it suggests using the WCO data model as the foundation for undertaking data harmonization work. Considering that Codex is an important strategic partner of the WCO is interested in aligning its tools on paperless processing with the Codex initiatives to facilitate collaboration, coordination, and seamless interoperability between the WCO and the Codex members, and to achieve more efficient border management. The draft guidance on paperless use of electronic certificates will certainly play a key role in supporting the implementation of the initiative by Codex members. Okay, from now on, my colleague Tejo will introduce the WCO data model in detail.
Thank you, Kyung-Chan. But first, of course, I would like to respond to the question asked to us, what are the response to the WCO on the endorsement of the guidelines? WCO certainly appreciate and congratulate the Codex and its member for the endorsement of the guidelines, because it is really an important milestone in a long digitalization journey in the area of food safety, the digitalization in particular. So, but before I would like to introduce my name, myself, my name is Deja Kusuma. I'm a technical officer of the World Customs Organization. My core portfolio in the organization is on the trade facilitation, digitalization, and data standardization. So as I mentioned, I believe that this guideline is really important milestone for Codex and its member in the digitalization journey, because it's really enable the Codex and its member to move forward in the digitalization initiative. And digitalization is really important as the basis for a modernization effort for cross-border movement of good, particularly, of course, related to the food. So when we talk about modernization of border, so one of the very basic principles is, and the $1 million question is how to make the clearance time efficient. So the basic principles that applied in many countries is to make the time of clearance efficient by moving some of the process pre-arrival, before the arrival, or before the clearance, so that at the point of the clearance can be done efficiently. And it has been mentioned by several previous speakers that digitalization really contribute a lot in facilitating trade. So yeah, so the electronic information, including electronic certification, really help in this journey, because it help to make available information in electronic even prior to the to the arrival of the good at the in the importing country, so that when the goods arrive, it can be cleared more efficiently. And by efficient, it means that the clearance time can be reduced, but it will not sacrifice the quality of control and compliance that meant to be done by the government agency like the custom and also competent authority for food safety, by enabling sufficient and even advanced risk management like profiling, selectivity, what's listing, targeting, whitelisting, and so on and so, etc. Next, Kyung-Chan. Yeah, next. Can you move next, Kyung-Chan? Yeah, so so the overall process of this advanced electronic information, including the certificate for safety, is that we separate between the making availability of this information can be made far in advance, so that the government agency, custom, and even competent authority can already have access to that information to a specific consignment even prior to the goods being transported to the importing country. So when the time the good is transported in consignment, and then custom declaration is submitted, and then some necessary supporting document, including electronic certification, is also submitted to clear the good, all of necessary processes, risk management, decision making ready to be made. So it's really significantly help in making the clearance process become more efficient. Next, Kyung-Chan. So that digitalization process, the use of electronic data, be it for the electronic certification or even electronic custom declarations, make it possible because of the technical specification that made available in standardized manner at the international level. So that is the whole purpose of the WCO data model that we introduced to the working group to support the digitalization effort, because data model is kind of a dictionary containing the standardized data element for that pertinent for international movement of the good. So it standardized some of the familiar information that's being used in the movement of the good that is pertinent for custom and also partner government agency in the context of the single window. Like it's identify or what are the commodity that being being transported, being exported, or imported, what are the origin office, what are the destination office, what are the vessel transport equipment, and the value of the good, and so on and so forth. That is really helpful to be used by the government agency to process their function. So next, Casey. So as a data dictionary, it contained key important information that to ensure that everybody in the supply chains that is moving the good to understand all of the information in the same way, because that is really the key for digitalization and data exchange, that when information is shared, everybody understand it the same way so that they can use the information sufficiently. So it was also mentioned in the previous speaker that some of the challenges on the exchange of information in the eVital was the non-standard data requirement. So because it defeat the benefit of the efficient digitalization. That's why data standard is really important here. So some of the key information that help to that standardization process is this dictionary, which contain the name of the information that's being exchanged, the definition that help to make sure everybody understand what information it is. So there are some technical specification that outline what are the length of the information, the size of information, and so on and so forth. What are the suggested coding value that need to be used on that information, and all of those identified by specific ID, which when we're talking about specific data element, like if you want to know who are the consignor, who are the consignee, what are the product description, it can be referred by certain IDs, identifications, numbers, so that everyone really understand what are the information that being exchanged and what are the purpose of that information. Next, Casey. Yeah. So despite that it is a WCO data model that's being developed by the WCO. So the data model is not only useful for custom. The WCO developed this to also facilitate the process being undertaken by partner government agency, including competent authority for food safety process, as an example, because of the context of the single window, where this data collaboration can enable digital collaboration at the border, seamless collaboration, so that the process can be made efficient. So, of course, the WCO contained data model. The WCO data model contained the element of electronic custom declaration for import, export, cargo reporting, as well as transit processes. But it also can be used to support several electronic certification process, and certainly for the safety, food safety purposes. Next, Katie. Yeah, so the part of the data model that is pertinent for the electronic certification, we call it as the LPCO, which stand for license, permit, certification, and other kind of that kind of document that enable digital collaboration between customs and competent authority by integrating electronic certification process in a single window environment, so that both competent authority can make more integrated or coordinated processes, decision making, and so on and so forth. And then so we have worked with the chair of the working group of the Codex to find out how we can cooperate in to support the digitalization initiative, and that's why we do really happy because the guideline has been endorsed, and I think that we will be able to move forward in supporting the further process of this digitalization initiative. So from this, Casey, I would like to hand over the floor to you to continue.
Thank you, Tejo. Okay, from now on, I will introduce the digitalization of food-related certification from the WCO side. At 56th TMPT meeting, the chair of SYMPOSIUM Electronic Working Group presented the initiative of Codex Alimentarius Commission for electronic certification to develop principles and guidelines for food import and export inspection and the certification system. In 2017, SYMPOSIUM started to revise the guidelines with approval from the CAC. The use of the WCO data model in electronic certification was included in the draft revision of the guidelines. For that reason, the chair of the electronic working group asked the DMPT's support to develop a Codex reference model and alignment with the WCO data model, Codex derived information package. And at the 25th session of the SYMPOSIUM, the draft revision of the guidelines was discussed and updated. The main results are the provision of explanatory notes on the electronic version of the generic model official certificates at the Annex 1 of the guidelines, and a new addition of Annex 2 to the guidelines, which is a paperless exchange of official certificates. In the Annex 2, the WCO data model Codex DIP is cited as an example of data modeling of generic model official certificates. The CAC at its 44th session in November 2021 adopted this update and will publish it in early 2022. The guidelines cite WCO data model, and for the better implementation of the guidelines, it needs to align the WCO data model Codex DIP. For that reason, there will be a webinar with SYMPOSIUM for the cooperation in international trade of certificates. This cooperation is crucial for the global adoption and the use of the WCO data model in relation to various international trade certificates. Okay, I think this opportunity to thank Codex for dedicated and continuing cooperation with the WCO, and I thank to this symposium. Thank you for your attention.